Hi, my name is Matt Kendricks, and this is a new series that is focused on explaining to people how to leverage AI tools to be able to build VoIP infrastructure. So moving from a static VoIP infrastructure to more dynamic using agentic AI. And so the premise of this is really this my curiosity of what can be done, but also I am starting to get more requests from people on, hey, how do I leverage agentic AI with my VoIP infrastructure? So I've done a lot of this using OpenClaw, and it has worked out well for us. You know, OpenClaw can connect to a instance and do things for us. But I never really thought about building up new VoIP infrastructure using these agentic tools. Well, I thought about it, but I just haven't done it. So this is what we're going to explore in this series. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is log into DigitalOcean. There'll be a link, a referral link for DigitalOcean there, so you can use it. But DigitalOcean is to me a very good low cost but very reliable VoIP infrastructure that we've been using for many years for our voice infrastructure. So I strongly recommend using them. So let me grab my verification code from email and then we'll get to going. All right. So so we use at the open source a dev project inside of DigitalOcean, and you can set up different projects for doing things. They call it teams. So we're gonna use our dev for right now, but you can see you can create different teams, and those different teams can be tied to different credit cards or whatever your billing source is. So for us, we are going to simply create a new um, droplet, is what they call it, and that's going to be where we, do our work today. Now, at some point, we'll go back to this and we'll actually have Claude spin up the actual server itself directly using a DigitalOcean API key or using Terraform or something of that nature to spin it up. But for right now, we're just gonna just create a droplet. It doesn't really need to be a powerful one. We're in Michigan, so I'm going to put it in Toronto, which is close to us. I use Debian a lot, um, and it looks like I haven't used this in a while. I guess they've changed it, but it looks like I can't use Debian 13 anymore. So I only have Debian 12. 'Cause usually I could switch between the two. But let's see if I can show all OSs here. Nope. So it looks like I'm stuck with Debian 13. So we'll see how that goes. And I'm just gonna make it a regular, and so that it won't be too slow, I want to make it one virtual CPU with 2 gigs of RAM, 50 gigs of space. And so I'm going to specify my SSH key. We have a few different SSH keys. I'm going to add a SSH key here. And this key actually is the key to what I use for all of my um, agentic activity. All right, so we're going to select Omnibot as the API key, which is the key that we use for being able to use our agentic tools to communicate with the server as well. Um, and I think we're just going to take all the basic commands here. We're going to call this, since we're going to be installing Fusion PBX here. Um, and we're just going to call it Fusion PBX AI, so we know this is one that was spent up by AI. This and tag this with my name, and then we're going to go ahead and create the droplet. So, droplet's being created. Cool. So here goes the public IP for the droplet. So now that we have the droplet, let's jump into our terminal here and let's go ahead and create let's go to the server here. This is my main server. All my projects goes in the documents, change directory to code. We will make a directory. We will call it our, we'll create a project that will incorporate all of our voice stuff in it. So that way, when we're I'll post all of the MD files that get generated from this on a repo, and that way you can use it. That way you don't have to necessarily waste a whole bunch of tokens regenerating whatever we generate during the series. So this is going to be the static VoIP to agentic VoIP series. And so today, the first thing we're going to do is, yeah, we'll just put it here. And I guess maybe we'll format it by the date, maybe. I don't know. Maybe we'll just, so we'll make a directory called, well, no, we'll organize it as we go, I guess. So that's what we'll do. So let's go ahead and now that we're in that directory, we're gonna go ahead and start up Claude. Okay. Is this the project you created or one you trust, like your own code, well known? Yes, I trust it. Great. Notice it actually specifies the directory that I'm in. Um, so let's do this. Check if you can access root at the IP address of this server using the omnibot SSH key that in my .ssh directory. Okay, because I have the private key for omnibot on this box. So let's go see if we can access it. And it's just prompting me to make sure that it has permissions to do that. And I'm just going to give it some more permissions because it's basically saying it has. All right, so yes, the connection works. Great. All right. And so now we're going to install Fusion PBX onto the server. Provide me with the login credentials once it's installed. Now, this is a good test. Like I'm having it like go off and guess what Fusion PBX is, but I guess what we'll do is just to make it a little bit more, make it more deterministic. I'm just going to give it the repo of Fusion PBX. I'm gonna say install the latest version of Fusion PBX onto the server. The repo is located here, and the website is located here. So for those who don't know, Fusion PBX is a multi-tenant PBX built on FreeSwitch. So it's basically a UI on top of FreeSwitch. It has a lot of cool features that allows you to be able to get up and going fairly quickly. So that's what we're going to install first as part of us moving from a static VoIP infrastructure to a dynamic. So we're going to have it created for us, and we're going to go from there. All right, so it looks like it says, gives us um, approval, existing, Fusion PBX. Got you. So it's just basically, it looks like it introspected the command that is about to run and just asking us for approval. And it's just looking for any existing installs. Wants to proceed? Yes. So it also tells us the tokens that is using right now. So we'll see here. Okay. And I like the fact that it actually said, hey, Debian 13 is fairly new. Let's kind of see if Fusion PBX supports it. So now it's looks like it's going through the install process. Okay. And it just keeps prompting me stuff. I want to say yes and don't prompt me again. So that way I can go ahead and do the install process. And then I'm going to, while it's doing this thing, I can say, by the way, okay, uh, uh, I'm going to say create a architecture that shows, create architecture diagram that shows how a VoIP phone will interact with Fusion PBX. I just want to see if I can answer the question while it's building this as well. Cool. So I came up with a quick diagram here. Here's an architecture diagram showing how a VoIP phone interacts with Fusion PBX. This is kind of cool. So it SIP register, invite to Fusion PBX. It shows the architecture of Fusion PBX and the database being used here. Cool. And yeah, so fill the band, and then it shows the provider, and it has the details here. Cool. Man, this does a lot. I'm not sure if I'm not sure what I want to be doing in the next couple of years, since this thing does all this stuff. So we're going to, I'm going to say, I wanted to create a document with this so that we can put this into a PDF. Okay. Let's see. By the way, can you put the architecture for Fusion PBX into a .md file? Um, but here's all right. So let's see here. It says it can't do it right now because it's doing something else. Let's see if I can put a C to copy it to the clipboard. And then let's so see, I'm just gonna go copy it in a MD file in that directory. Okay. So so I put everything in, I just copied it into this MD file here. So yeah, this is really good. So interaction flow, provisioning optional. First boot the phone, pulls those config files over for the HTTPS. Registration, call setup, media, or calls to and from SDN. Okay, so this is kind of cool. So now we're just waiting for our instance to be built. All right, so we're just waiting. Interesting though that it says installing is running, currently installing application dependencies. Now I'll set up a background. Now it's saying, hey, now I'll set up a background monitor that waits until the installer finishes. Either the install.sh process exits or the credential line appears in the log. So I'm notified when it's done rather than polling blindly. All right, so once it finishes, we'll come back and then we'll see what it actually did. All right. So I just went back and I asked it, how is the install going? And this says install is essentially done. The log already showed installation notes, welcome banner, and the FreeSwitch binary is installed. The process is just wrapping up its final stages. Got the credentials. There were 142 error fills. Names, got it. Core services are healthy. And we're going to have it grab the credentials for us. So the good thing about this is that it ran as a background process. So I don't think it burnt up as many tokens as it would have if it would have been running it directly from the Claude command line. But I don't know. We're going to ask it in a little bit. Okay, let's see here. All right, so it looks like I got my username and password. Um, it says what was installed: Fusion PBX 5.5, FreeSwitch 1.11, Postgres 18. It said it added a 4 gig swap file up front, so FreeSwitch source compile wouldn't go out of memory on this one CPU two GP 2 GB box. So it says failed on his first attempt. A Debian 13 log ordering race. Is SSH Joe looked for var log off that log before rsys created. I restarted it and is now healthy with 6 jails active. So the full install log is in this path on the server. So the recommended next steps: change the admin password, point a domain at the server, and run the installers. Let's encrypt the helper to get a real TLS cert and reboot once to confirm everything is up. Want me to change the admin password and set up Let's Encrypt or reboot to verify a cleanup? So, so first, let's go ahead and let's see if we can actually log in using this. The credentials here. So let's go ahead and switch over to my web browser here and let's go see. Okay. So it said my username needs to be admin, and then our password is this. Look at that. That's magical. So now it's installed. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to take its advice and we're going to go ahead and change the password. And we're going to, what else do they want us to do here? Uh, yeah, we'll put a domain name at the server and we'll reboot once to confirm everything comes up clean and from code.